Welcome to Not the Code, where we explore the human side of software development. Starting on a new team can feel like being dropped into the middle of a movie. You're not quite sure who the main characters are, what the plot is, or if there's a twist waiting around the corner. Today, I want to share a story about one of my most humbling early career moments and the lessons it taught me about joining new teams without crashing and burning. It was early in my career, and I'm a few days into a new role. I was eager to prove myself, so I was staying late, digging through the Codebase, looking for ways to contribute. Around 10 p.m., I stumble across what looks like a critical bug in our payment system integration. The API calls seem to fail randomly, then mysteriously retry with slightly different parameters. To my junior developer eyes, this looked like broken error handling, amateur hour stuff. So I did what any eager developer would do. I spent the entire night fixing it. I was convinced I'd found a major flaw that somehow everyone else had missed. The next morning, feeling pretty proud of myself, I showed my changes to the lead developer. His reaction wasn't what I expected. He gently explained that what I thought was broken code was actually a carefully crafted workaround for a known issue with the payment provider. The team had spent some time perfecting this solution. What looked like broken code to me was actually necessary problem solving. That moment was incredibly humbling. The problem wasn't my technical skills, it was my approach. That experience taught me something that shaped how I approach new teams ever since. The key to landing well is orientation, not speed. And most importantly, avoiding the urge to get overwhelmed by everything at once. See, when we join a new team, we often feel pressure to prove ourselves quickly. We want to show we're capable, that we're worth the investment. But that urgency can lead us to make assumptions about what we're seeing. The reality is that every code base, every team, every product has context that isn't immediately visible. There are decisions made for reasons that aren't documented in comments. There are workarounds for third-party limitations. There are business constraints that shape the architecture. So, how do we navigate this successfully? Let me share 3 strategies that actually work. First, map the human terrain before diving into code. The instinct is to dive straight into the repository. But here's the thing. Code rarely explains the context. People do. Before you touch a single line of code, spend your first few days understanding who does what and how the team actually works. Find the existing groups, who collaborates naturally, who has the historical context, who makes the final calls on different types of decisions. During these conversations, listen more than you talk. Ask about current challenges, what feels clunky in their daily work, and what they'd change if they had a magic wand. You're not collecting tasks or trying to impress anyone with immediate solutions. You're learning the terrain and showing up as someone who cares about understanding before acting. When you do speak up, make it count. Share meaningful insights rather than talking for the sake of participating. Your teammates will notice the difference. This approach builds trust naturally. It shows you respect the existing knowledge while bringing your own perspective to the table. Second strategy, start with what users see. Don't get overwhelmed by the entire system. Instead, use the product like a complete stranger, focusing on the most important use cases. Click through the main workflows. Try to break things. Get confused and ask why certain choices were made. This isn't about immediate critique. It's about forming an independent view of what the system actually does before you get influenced by internal logic or existing team opinions. That fresh perspective is precious, and it fades fast. Once you learn how everything should work, you lose that outsider's eye. So capture those initial observations while you can. Write them down. They might reveal blind spots that the team has developed over time. I've seen new team members catch UX issues that had been invisible to everyone else because they were too close to the product. That outside perspective is one of your most valuable contributions in those early days. Third, make one small, meaningful move. When you're ready to contribute, resist the urge to tackle something impressive. Instead, pick one small feature and trace it from front to back, from the UI element users click to the database call that retrieves the data. You're not fixing anything yet. You're listening to the rhythm of the system. What feels consistent across the code base? What's oddly named? What breaks your expectations? Then make one small but useful contribution. Fix a typo in the documentation. Update an outdated diagram. Add a missing test. Share a simple flowchart that helped you understand something complex. You're showing that you care, that you're learning, and that you're ready to contribute. These small gestures build credibility and show you're engaged with the team's success. Now, here's something important to remember. Landing well isn't the same as settling in. The goal isn't to blend in seamlessly. It's to bring value through the unique combination of fresh eyes and your previous experience. Keep asking for opinions from those who know the business and Codebase better than you do, but also trust that outsider perspective you brought with you. Sometimes the best value you can offer is a question no one has asked in a while, or a connection to a pattern you've seen work elsewhere. The sweet spot is balancing respect for existing knowledge with the courage to point out what might have become invisible to the team. In my experience, teams that welcome this kind of thoughtful questioning are usually the ones where you'll thrive long-term. So if you're starting somewhere new this week, or if you have team members joining soon, here's what to remember. Don't get overwhelmed by trying to understand everything at once. Focus on people first, then the user experience, then make one small, meaningful contribution. Trust your fresh perspective while respecting existing knowledge. The key question to keep in mind: what am I seeing that this team might have stopped noticing? That question isn't just your entry point. It's how you transform from someone who's just landed into someone who truly belongs. Looking back at that payment integration story, I realize I learned something more valuable than any technical skill: the importance of context, patience, and humility when joining a new team. The code I thought was broken was actually solving a real problem in an elegant way. The team wasn't missing obvious issues. They had institutional knowledge I lacked. That experience shaped not just how I join teams, but how I welcome new members when they join mine. We all benefit when people land well rather than crash and burn. Thanks for listening to Not the Code. If this episode helped you think differently about team onboarding, please share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe for more insights on the human side of software development. Until next time, remember, great software comes from great teams, and great teams take care of how people land.